Let's return to Queensland now, and as we saw earlier, hundreds of farmers attended a forum today in Brisbane, a food security forum that was addressed by the broadcaster Alan Jones. A lot of concern there about coal seam gas mining, the impact this is having on prime agricultural land in the Sunshine State. Amongst the crowd, the National Senate leader Barnaby Joyce, who's also raised some concerns over this coal seam gas mining issue as well. He joins me now from Brisbane. Senator, thanks for your time. Tell us about your view of this issue, coal seam gas mining, and, well, in particular the fact that you've got the two major parties, the LNP and Labor there in Queensland, seemingly wanting to go full steam ahead with this industry.
I don't think they want to go full steam ahead, but I'll just give a quick biography of where I am on the issue. At the start of not this year but last year, I made sure that we had a Senate inquiry into coal seam gas. In fact, the National Party gave up one of the chairs of their committee as a trade-off for it. Senator Fiona Nash handed back her chair to Senator Bill Heffernan, and I said that would happen on the proviso that we had a federal inquiry into coal seam gas, which was chaired by Senator Bill Heffernan. That had meetings in both Dalby, in Roma, in Narrabri, had the capacity to bring in witnesses, give people protection so they could tell the truth, and I believe that is moving the agenda. An agenda, Spearsy, which, as you know, is predominantly driven from a state level. Now, I believe that coal seam gas should not be on prime agricultural land, and I've said that from the start, should not destroy aquifers, and I think everybody else has signed off on that idea, should not destroy the quiet enjoyment of residential areas, therefore you shouldn't be in residential areas, and there should be a proper return to the landholder. Not the poxy return that they're getting at the moment, which was 3/5 of 5/8 of nothing, a slab of beer for something which potentially could be earning $1 million a day.
But have the LNP picked up on all of those points you just raised there? Because their policy is that wells and pipelines can still be built as long as they don't compromise farming activity. And also, there doesn't seem to be a lot of specifics around how to protect the Great Artesian Basin water.
Well, it's vitally important that we do protect the Great Artesian Basin water because my town, St George, drinks the Great Artesian Basin water. In fact, no Great Artesian Basin, no town water for St George or many of the other towns out west. And this is why it's such a crucial asset that has to be protected, quite obviously. We won't have a stock industry out west if we don't have the Great Artesian Basin. And people are mindful of this, but we've got to find where the actual truth lies about, are the damages overspoken, or are they real and imminent and need to be dealt with? And that's why I think both sides of politics have signed off for further investigations. I think $150 million being put aside to make sure we get further science of exactly where this is. We already have coal seam gas in the area, Spears. What do we do with that? We can hardly pull it up and walk away with it. We've got to make sure that...
You've got Bob Catter saying, and Alan Jones, no doubt, at the forum today said as well, there should be a moratorium. Do you think there should be a moratorium?
Well, there should be a moratorium on prime agricultural land. In fact, it should go beyond a moratorium. It should just not be allowed on prime agricultural land. It shouldn't be allowed where it destroys aquifers. But once you go outside...
That's not the LNP's policy. That's not the LNP's policy. They're saying as long as it doesn't...
No, they're saying strategic cropping land. People are giving different names to the same idea.
Right. So you support the LNP's policy on coal seam gas mining?
I support what I've been doing all the way through as leader of the National Party in the Senate to try and make sure people get a better hearing, get their day in court, that I support our process of moving the agenda so as to get better protections for the landholders, better protections for the farmers, better returns and a more comparable return. I continue to advocate that case. I don't sign off on any bottom line. I continue to do my job as a politician and to try and represent these people because they are the powerless and the powerless need to be represented against the powerful, and that's what I intend to keep doing. Will I bring nirvana? Will I have a perfect outcome? No, of course not. But my job is to try and get them a better outcome than what they're getting at the moment, to move the agenda, and I'll continue to do that. That's what the job of an advocate is, and I do my best at it.
Let me ask you about the federal mining tax, which is coming up in the Senate in the next couple of weeks. Labor would say that when you talk about giving farmers an adequate return and a proper return on what's going on, this mining tax is also about giving all Australians a fair return on mining activity, on coal and iron ore. Are you really that opposed to sharing the wealth, as Labor says, from the resources boom?
No, it's just laziness on behalf of Labor. As you know and I know and your listeners know, they're going out the back door in debt. They're $232 billion in debt. They're merely $18 billion away from bouncing the cheques as we hit the $250 billion, $250 billion ceiling. They're thinking desperately of ways to get their hands on money. We have a mining tax, Spearsy. It's called royalties. State governments have royalties. Any time the states want to put up their mining tax, which is royalties, they can put it up. But what Mr Wayne Swan's saying is, oh, well, instead of state royalties, you should send all the money down to Canberra, and then Canberra can send it to those who are deemed most righteous. And we've seen with their carbon tax who they think are righteous. They think, Bob Brown's righteous, and they sent him $10 billion from the Green Fund. And you know what happens at the end of the day? They take the money and they give it to their pet projects, and it's all just a farcical approach. We do, too, believe in connecting people more closely to the wealth of mining. But you do that through infrastructure. You do that through making the economy work. You do that so the wealth spreads around. We will connect the people to mining via an economy that works, an infrastructure that delivers that wealth throughout the nation. The Labor Party's lazy approach is to find someone who's making money, take it off them, come up with a righteous metaphor, and then try and hand it to somebody else to collect the vote.
Well, one of the strongest opponents of the mining tax is Gina Rinehart. Now, the court documents in the Rinehart family feud that have been made public today include a letter that you wrote to Gina Rinehart's daughter, Hope, urging her to drop her case against her mother. Why did you feel the need to intervene in this family dispute?
I don't think it's a case of dropping the case. People can do what they like. Right. It's trying to stay out of the media. I mean, you make money out of getting salacious stuff, and good luck to you. That's how you do it. But I just don't think, unless you're a public figure, which I am, that you should be embroiled in a sort of something where they traipse all your personal details backwards and forth through the papers. In the end, you don't care, Spearsy, what happens to any family. You care about your ratings, as you should, and you care that you keep a job, as you should. My job is to give, on some instances, on a personal issue, and this is a personal letter, so I don't want to go into it in depth, but on a personal level to say, well, look, no one in the media is really going to look after you. They're going to look after their paper. They're going to look after their job. The smartest thing to do is to try and stay out of it.
Well, at the risk of defending the journalistic fraternity, I think we all care more than just about ratings and our own jobs. But there was nothing in this letter that could be interpreted as you wanting to protect Gina Rinehart from embarrassment. You were simply, giving some media advice?
No, I think that it'd be fair to say that you do care about your job, Spearsy, and you want to make sure that, and like all journalists, you want to make sure the story is front page and it sells papers, and I understand that, but in the long term, you only hurt yourself and the family because no matter what side of the debate you're on, it's like going into a divorce and putting it on the paper. There's no winner.
Okay, and how would you describe then your relationship with Gina Rinehart? She did fly you, as I understand it, to India for a wedding last year?
Yep, I'm good mates with her. I get along well with her. I get along well with a whole range of people. I was speaking to people at the Coal Seam Gas inquiry today. I get along well with them. Doesn't mean I agree with everything people say. I can have heated disputes of disagreement. But I like the ideas, as strange as this may seem, that Australia has rich people. I prefer Australian rich people than to have that wealth appropriated overseas. I like the idea that if you make money, you keep it in Australia, and that as opposed to Mr Wayne Swan, who thinks that getting rich is an evil thing. No, I think if you can make yourself rich and make Australia rich, good luck to you. Wayne Swan, I don't know, he just tries it as a football to beat people over the head and think we're all fools and don't know that he's playing envy politics. We've
only got 20 seconds, but the Bob Katter's his attack out on Campbell Newman today on the gay marriage issue. What did you think of that?
Oh, well, Bob's Bob, He's got a big white hat, but sometimes I think it covers up some very interesting ideas, sometimes very peculiar ideas.
All right, Barnaby Joyce, thank you for joining us this afternoon.